Hi everyone, if you're enjoying the show and have appreciated the tips and experience being shared with you, maybe consider leaving a one-off tip to support production, including the hosting, the booking, the marketing, the recording, the editing, and every other aspect of making a show like this. You can do that by visiting podcastingpeople.uk/support or via the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Danny Brown and I'm Head of Podcaster Support and Experience at Captivate. And today I'm going to give you a tip about making your podcast more dynamic to stay relevant. So I'm the Head of Podcaster Support and Experience at Captivate, the podcast hosting, distribution, analytics, and monetization platform for the serious indie podcaster. My role sees me heading up the customer support team, as well as ensuring every touchpoint with Captivate is a great experience. So whether that's via our support chat, online communities like Reddit, live events, and more. I also work closely with the marketing team and developers, taking feedback and interactions from users and potential users to inform what content and feature releases might be good. And I'm also responsible for the help and resource section for our Captivate podcasters. So with podcasting, if you count a solitary episode way back in 2009 on Blog Talk Radio, then I officially got into podcasting in 2009. But I didn't do anything after that until maybe 2014, 2015. And that's when my commuting schedule changed. I had a lot more time on my hands. So I started to listen to both audiobooks and podcasts. At the time, I was a heavy blogger, but I was starting to enjoy the medium less. So I thought, why not transfer this to podcasting? Cue my first hobby podcast back in 2017 to where I am today with 3 active podcasts and many more under the belt that are now archived. The first hobby podcast was Life Through a Dram, and basically it met my enjoyment of a good single malt whiskey. And basically I would sit down and recant stories from my youth or just something I'd seen in the news that week and offer my take on it, all joined by a nice single malt whiskey from various parts of Scotland. It was a very enjoyable hobby podcast. What I really love about podcasting is basically the open nature of the medium. It's no longer a requirement to be tech savvy to start a podcast, so you don't need to know about IDE3 tags and how MP3 files work or how to get them on a server, etc. There's a lot of great options for people to start a podcast and succeed with it. And the podcast community is by and large hugely supportive of each other and wants to see the medium succeed. So I really appreciate that it's such a good medium to help anybody start a podcast and become good at it and really enjoy it. My big tip is to keep your podcast relevant by being dynamic, whether that's using dynamic content or even just manually making updates. So, for example, if your hosting company offers dynamic content, use that to keep your show fresh. Most podcasters, when they think of dynamic content, think of ads or sponsor messages. And while that can be the most used option, there's a lot more you can do. So some examples, an old guest has a new book or an album out. Update their episode with a snippet of dynamic audio, sharing news of that release and where to buy. Maybe a true crime podcast is out of date after new facts came to light. So use dynamic audio to update that episode with these new facts and what that means for the case. You got a new premium member offering for an existing podcast. Record a snippet of audio talking about the new offering and dynamically drop that across all your back catalogue. The point is you never know when new listeners will drop into your show, so make sure their experience is a great one and they have all the most up-to-date insights and news from day one. And if your host doesn't offer dynamic content, maybe it's time to find a new one. But seriously, even if your host doesn't offer dynamic content, you can still keep your show as relevant as possible by doing it manually. Something as simple as listening to your trailer and seeing if that still reflects the podcast as it is today. Show formats change, they evolve, podcasters change with their goals. So if your show is different from the one you launched with, record a new trailer and upload that to replace the current one. You can find me at dannypod.com, that's DANNYPOD.com, where all my current and past podcasts are linked to. You can also find me over at Captivate.fm if you want to check out all the cool stuff we offer serious indie podcasters. And you can see all of these links in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Podcasting People.
Like the sound of this episode? The Sound Boutique can help with your show too, from fixing problem audio all the way through to producing full shows. Visit thesoundboutique.com today to start a conversation. The link is in the show notes.